My name is Venus Jones, and some people think I'm fearless, but I'm really not. I admit that often I look courageous or like a superhero, especially in a skydiving suit. My motto is fake it till you make it. It's the actor's creed. We love to pretend. On August 14th, 2011, the sky was my biggest stage yet. Skydiving was one of the scariest things I've ever done. And I've done some scary things, from marrying outside my race, walking on fire, and yes, even stand-up comedy. So here I was ready to face fear again with some of my equally brave friends. My husband Steve, Shivani, Masa, and Maria, well, we were ready. We all jumped out of a moving airplane that was 10,000 feet above ground. Days before this event, I was sleepless in Tampa and pacing at 3 a.m. My husband reminded me that I didn't have to go up. I knew that. But I also knew that this was an adventure that wasn't cheap, and he had already bought my ticket. I didn't want to be left behind while everyone else was living on the edge. Plus, it was that Groupon discount, and they needed one more person to save a few more dollars. I said I'd do it, and I strive to be a woman of my word. Steve was ecstatic because this was a bucket list trip for him, and he loves to see me challenge myself. But he had reassured me that I had the right to change my mind. I reminded him that before we got married, I said I'd follow you to the end of the earth. So here I am, in the plane. And we've bought a video package, so that means I have to smile pretty for the camera. How perfect. So right before my close-up, I plopped some candy in my mouth to protect my ears from popping due to change in air pressure. And yes, I felt the tears well up in my eyes. I was thinking, this is it. My life is over. Why? Because another dear friend of mine told me Mercury was in retrograde, and that usually means travel problems in his eyes. Not to mention, I have had a history of clumsiness, so yes, I was almost convinced that I was about to die. But when they pointed the lens my direction, I was quite witty and said everything right. And yes, it appeared that I was all smiles, but my heart was in my throat. I have anxiety normally, so that performance was Oscar-worthy. As I scooted to the edge of the open door, I said a prayer that all my ancestors and angels would comfort me before the fall. I knew what goes up must come down. I gave one more thumb up and braced myself for the inevitable or the adjacent impossible. I watched the love of my life descend into one of the biggest and fluffiest clouds I've ever seen, and he was gone. I knew there was no turning back unless I started kicking and screaming, and that would only make my death more embarrassing or just worse for everyone. So I remained calm, listened to my final instructions, and paraphrased everything in hopes for a functional parachute. I put my head up and back and surrendered. So you see me preparing to fly and fall freely into infinity with a strange man that I just met strapped to my back. When I dived into the heavens, all I heard was a rush of wind. It was really loud. Everything from my pants to the skin on my cheeks was flapping. The air was fresh and immaculate, drying up all the heat and sweat I was soaked in from anticipation. The wind whirled in and out of my lungs without warning. I witnessed a force of energy that was invigorating. At times, it was also cold on my teeth, so I licked my loose lips. I wanted to look around, but then I remembered, oh, I'm in a video production. Anxiety was trying to creep into my subconscious as things were changing from a free fall to a glide rapidly. It was time to bask in the sunbeams and all the beauty that this life had to offer. It was time to be in that surreal moment, but it felt like a dream, and I was Wonder Woman. You can see me gallop in with one last goddess gust when I landed. Will I ever be afraid of anything again? Lucky for me, my fate was gravity and not the grave. This alone had grounded me. Oof. I wasn't experienced, I said. I wasn't sure of what to think of it all just yet. My legs felt similar to what I feel when returning from days at sea. I stood up and the weight of my body felt heavier, as if I just flew through a portal or a time machine of sorts. When the videographer, who seemed to be head of the promotional team, asked me if I'd fly with them again, I said yes on camera because I still wanted to look and feel courageous. Above all, courageous doesn't mean I'm fearless. It just means I love to face my fears, and I'm willing to fall.